This episode we're going to talk about the ingredients that need to go into a compost pile, and it's really simple. We break the ingredients that go into a compost pile into two areas, green and brown. Green's nitrogen and brown's carbon. So what we have here, of course, is a pile that's mostly brown, carbon. So we have some high quality chicken manure that we're going to add to it. And in general, we want to add 1 part green, 1 part nitrogen to 30 parts carbon. It's really important that we stir that in good. As things green up and we start mowing our lawns, gathering leaves, pulling weeds out of the garden, we can add that green to this pile as we go. There's a great publication on the University of Wyoming Extension website called Backyard Composting that you can find. Composting is a great way to get rid of unwanted organic matter that we can then add back to our gardens as needed fertilizer. Tune in next week and we'll talk about the management strategies that we'll employ in the compost pile. This is Hudson Hill, University of Wyoming Extension. About the ingredients that you can start a compost pile with in the spring. Now I want to talk really about how we manage the compost pile. When I teach people about a compost pile, I really want to talk to them about the fact that they now have millions of pets that we call microbes. So last week we talked about how to feed them. Now today we really want to talk about how to take care of them. The first thing we'd do with a pet is give it exercise, and that's what we do by stirring the pile. The kind of microbes that we want living in this pile are aerobic, oxygen-loving microbes. Things like putting lateral stuff in there and burying it up might help oxygen come in. I've even seen people drill holes in PVC and put that down into the pile to help oxygen go down into the pile. But most important, we really probably need to stir that pile at least once a week. Anybody that's composted in Wyoming knows that our cold winters usually shut our piles off. They stop those microbes from working. But in the summertime, they stop because they get too dry. We've got to keep these microbes in an environment where they can live. We've got to keep our compost pile moist. We're probably going to have to water at least once a week in the summertime. The rule of thumb that I like to go by is when we pick that compost up, we want it to feel icky enough that we want to put it down, but then it doesn't stick to our hands. Kind of like a wet sponge. Again, there's a great publication on UW Extension's website called Backyard Composting. This is Hudson Hill, University of Wyoming Extension. You're watching From the Ground Up.